सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल
Before I get down to the national interest for this week, this is a very special appeal to our listeners, viewers, readers across the world. Overseas, I know that there is a lot of you. We get a lot of response. You like us and you appreciate the fact that there is one platform that brings you unhyphenated news from India. So this is an appeal that please pay for good journalism in India. Go to the link that you will see on your screen. Just press there. Choose the option for international subscribers and do subscribe, because without paid subscriptions, journalism cannot survive. And whatever you get for free will have to make compromises. And why should you settle for compromises? Pay for your journalism. That's my call to you, particularly to those who live overseas and who watch, read and listen to us. That said, let me get down to this week's theme of national interest, which, let me warn you, is quite grim, sobering and very serious. And why do we say it's grim, sobering and serious? Because two judicial orders in old cases of mass murder in two neighboring states have resulted in the acquittal of the accused. In both cases, all the accused have been acquitted. In the first, the Rajasthan High Court set aside on 29 March this year the conviction and severe sentencing of 4 Muslims in the Jaipur serial blasts case. These were the Jaipur serial bombings of May of 2008, which left 71 people dead. In the second, earlier this week, a trial court in Gujarat acquitted all 67 Hindus. In the first one, all 4 acquitted were Muslims. In the second one, all 67 acquitted were Hindus. And I am emphasizing this, Muslims and Hindus, because there is a point there, it's relevant. So the Gujarat court acquitted all 67 Hindus who were accused in the Naroda Gam killings in the course of the Gujarat riots of 2002. In that massacre, 11 Muslims were killed. 71 in the first, 11 in the second. For the sake of this argument, this week's argument, let's presume that the judges in both cases are right and that all the accused were innocent. 3 consequences then arise directly from it. And what are these 3? Number 1, that the victims, the dead, the maimed and their families have found no justice at the end of 15 years since the bombings in Jaipur and 21 years since the killings in Gujarat. That's half a lifetime. The victims in the first case were almost all Hindu and in the second, all Muslim. 2, the second point, that if the accused, all Muslims in the first case and all Hindus in the second case, are all innocent as finally ruled by the respective courts, they wasted decades of their lives in jail for no reason, unfairly, Muslims as well as Hindus. If you add all of them up and multiply it by the number of years each one spent in jail unjustly, you might find nearly 1,000 years of freedom taken away from people finally proven innocent. We could summarize the first 2 points as follows: that at the end of these decades, injustices to so many aggrieved Indians, victims of serial bombings in Jaipur and targeted communal rioting in Naroda Gam, and to the alleged perpetrators of these crimes, were delivered in a manner that was equal in its unfairness and secular. Right? That's important, because it was equally unfair in both cases to Hindu victims and Muslim victims, Hindu alleged perpetrators and Muslim alleged perpetrators. Which brings us to our third point. In any criminal case, besides the victim and the accused, there is another equally important party, the state. It's a tough thing for me to say, but philosophically and in principle, it is the state that's even more important than the other two, that is the alleged perpetrator and the victim. Because the other 2 sets of victims are individuals who are caught up in a certain situation on one side or the other. The state, on the other hand, stands for all of us, the entire society, all of India, and the majesty of the Constitution and the Republic. For the Republic to deliver on its true promise to its citizens, it must be able to catch the guilty, put them on trial and ensure that they get their deserved punishment. Remember that phrase the Supreme Court once used while justifying the execution of a convicted terrorist? Satisfaction of the collective conscience of the people of India. That satisfaction is grossly denied in both these cases. While the appeal processes will drag on, given the way the legal system works, there will be no fresh investigation in either case. If higher appellate courts also hold that those now acquitted are indeed innocent, those truly guilty would have gotten away. They will never be caught because there will never be a fresh investigation. This will make the state also as much a victim of injustice as the Hindus and the Muslims listed earlier on either side, whether victims or the alleged perpetrators. List this as a case of justice thrice denied or justice denied thrice over. Why does such awful denial of justice take place, and so often? If you analyze the court orders in these cases, as in so many others, where ultimately nobody got punished, you can find a pattern. Shoddy investigations, hastily and clumsily fabricated evidence, tutored witnesses, then as decades pass, dead witnesses, witnesses drop dead, and many who are quote unquote persuaded to change their minds, and finally shifting politics. The next factor is the influence and clout of the accused. Uttar Pradesh's gangsters and their wards have been in the headlines over the past couple of weeks. Each one of the three most prominent ones, Atiq Ahmed, Mukhtar Ansari and Brajesh Singh, calmly survived multiple political assassination mass murder trials. Atiq Ahmed was charged, for example, with the assassination of newly elected BSP MLA Raju Pal. He had just defeated Atiq's brother Khalid Azim alias Ashraf. The assassination took place on 25th of January 2005. The assassination was dramatic, public, with a large audience. So that means there were lots of witnesses. 18 years on, the trial was still on when Atiq died or was killed. Witnesses were turning hostile or disappearing, and in one better known case, both. That is the case of Umesh Pal. Umesh Pal was a prosecution witness. He was a brother-in-law of Raju Pal. He turned hostile or supposedly turned hostile, obviously under pressure from the powers that be. He changed his mind subsequently, was kidnapped by Atiq's gang in 2006. I don't have to use an allegedly there because Atiq was convicted in that case. He was kidnapped by Atiq's case in 2006. He was assassinated on camera by Atiq's son Asad on 24 February in Prayagraj. Atiq may have been convicted now for kidnapping Umesh Pal in 2006, but the murder trial was still ongoing after so many years. The trial had waxed and waned with changes in political fortunes in the state. That's why I said that this also depends greatly on the politics of the day. That's why it's no surprise that rather than opprobrium, in fact there is no opprobrium, there is wide popular celebration of Atiq and his brother Ashraf's public execution in police custody just a couple of days after Atiq's son Asad's killing in an quote-unquote encounter. This is what fuels vigilante culture among our police and their political bosses. A quick and risk-free route to instant popularity. We can write as many outraged editorials as we wish to, but the thok though or shoot them approach has very wide social acceptance now. Among the many crimes, including murder, that Mukhtar Ansari was charged with, the most prominent was the dramatic assassination of Krishnanand Rai, then sitting BJP MLA from Mohammadabad in Ghazipur district. In fact, in a series of 3 episodes of Cut the Clutter, I told you the story of Atiq Ahmed, his family, Mukhtar Ansari, his clan, and also Brajesh Singh, who will come to in a minute. Just like Raju Pal in Allahabad West, Krishnanand Rai had also dared to defeat the Bahubali's brother, and he had to be made to pay for it. It was an elaborate hit on him, carried out with AK-47s. At least 400 empty 7.62 mm casings were found from the spot, and 67 bullets were pulled out from the bodies of the 7 people killed, 21 from Krishnanand Rai's body. This was in 2005 too. 14 years later, the Delhi court, where the case was shifted because justice in UP was reckoned to be impossible, that court acquitted all the accused. Read the story by our reporter Apurva Mandhani on this. I am sharing a link with you with the description. And the cry from the judge is pained heart. He noted that all the key witnesses had turned hostile and wished that a real witness protection scheme had been applied. If in 2019, with Narendra Modi's government in its second innings, the killers cannot be put to justice 14 years after assassinating a BJP MLA, what does it do to our collective conscience? Won't the war cry then be thok do? As we saw in the first two cases, the Jaipur bombings and the Naroda Gam killings, it isn't about Hindu or Muslim. Denial of justice is a fully secular phenomenon and a very unfortunate one. Brajesh Singh, a 3-decade rival of the Ansaris, was released on bail in August 2022. He had been under trial already for 20 plus years on the charge of carrying out an elaborate hit on Mukhtar Ansari in 2001. Ansari escaped, but 2 others with him were killed. So there was murder there. Again, witnesses, evidence and prosecution interest have all faded with the passage of time. Singh was in jail for 14 years after being caught finally by the Delhi police from Bhubaneswar in 2008. He is now mostly a free man. His nephew is an MLA and his wife is an MLC. Meanwhile, he also became an MLC from the jail itself. Through 3 decades, careers of these 3 dons have run concurrently. They've all become MPs, MLAs or MLCs. In each case, it is a failure of politics, governance and the judiciary. Each case is seen to justify the calls for instant justice. Read these 5 most recent cases together. And what are these 5? Jaipur bombings, Naroda Gam killings, then the case of Atiq Ahmed and his family, Mukhtar Ansari and his clan and Brajesh Singh. Read all of the 5 together and they complete the picture of total denial of justice to the victim, to the perpetrator, to the state or to the alleged perpetrator, the state and by implication to all of us Indians. This is why the faith in the system has fallen. It has led to a Singham phenomenon in our popular culture. How infectious it is, we have just seen in the alleged acts of brutal torture by an IIT educated IPS officer in Tamil Nadu, since charged criminally. But what is it that persuades a bright young man, bright enough to crack UPSC, also with the benefit of the finest education in India, at least finest from a state-run institution, to do such awful things? Now, depending on where you belong in this polarized environment, this loss of faith leads to either a clamor for vigilantism, thok do, or I am afraid resort to terrorism. 5 wake-up calls which we just listed for you. 5 wake-up calls in quick succession are 5 too many.